Still alive.
No clone.
Come.
Use about
Shabbat
10
Shalom.
seconds.
Shabbat Shalom.
Search for it.
1 second. Make sure it's on recording.
You not see it?
We good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gone. I'll praise the Most High. I'll praise the Most High. First and foremost, I want to say, call Allah Yahweh, by Ship, Mashiach Yahushua, right? It translates to all praises, right? All praise go to the Most High, man. Thank you, his only begotten Son, Yahushua. We are the watchmen for Israel, Memphis, right? We come in week and week out, right? So proclaim, right? Back to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, man. The Most High God's commandments, the Most High God's instructions, right? And today is no different than last Saturday, man. It's a Shabbat. Today is no different than the weekend before that. Hey, man, we come together a lot on uh, the gathering day, right? The holy convocation. So, through the Spirit, today is mighty because the Most High chose us as a sign between Him and us. So, we're going to go into what today is being celebrated as well, and also the importance of not getting caught up in what the scriptures, you know, and what we know will be described as ancient rituals. Okay. Now in schools, in your businesses, right, your moms and your dads and your loved ones, everybody's celebrating Valentine's Day. Okay. Everybody's celebrating these things. And quite frankly, the Most High isn't dealing with these things. Okay. He's not dealing with the practice of said rituals, which a lot of us inadvertently commit ourselves to doing, not understanding the severity of doing these particular practices. You send your children to school, if you have children, and they're forced to, to give each other heart candies and little cards and stuff, man. I'm your Valentine. You're my Valentine. They do that in school. Will you be my Valentine? Handing out little letters, yes or no, check the box, giving extra long hugs. Why my children back there smiling? Why y'all smiling for? It's so funny. Hey, my children, hey, they better ball that card up and throw it on the ground. Hey, we don't do Valentine's Day. The little heart-shaped candy with messages on it that you damn hell choke on, man. Tastes like chalk. But they put a lot of right. They put a lot of energy into celebrating wickedness. Let's talk about some of these ancient rituals. If a brother can share the screen, and I want to pull up a link, right? And see if the brother can pull this link up. We're gonna walk through certain of right the origins of Valentine's Day. All right. Let's see. Let me know when you have this pulled up. All right, come on. All right, so we want to walk with this, right? It says Valentine's Day, right? You see the to my Valentine, right? It says has come to be synonymous with the 24-hour period where we express our love through affection for someone special through pink hearts, candy, and red roses, right? It kind of gets deeper than that, but we're gonna leave it at that, right? A lot of what's happening right now is freakism, it's fornication, right? And it's going into, pagan rituals. So who all knows the name of that pagan ritual? Who remembers that name? We've done this lesson many years. Who remembers the name of the origin? Y'all remember? All right, let's read. So if we bounce down, it says in the same paragraph, right? It says with origins as a pagan ritual for fertility. Valentine's Day has evolved throughout centuries, right? Worth of martyrdom, religious politics, beheadings, right, and industrializations. So basically, this thing has been, modernized from an origin of wickedness. Now, there's a name that goes with this origin of wickedness. Go down to Roman beginnings, Baba Shah. You scroll down to Roman beginnings, right? It's going to say, while the exact origins of Valentine's Day remain murky, some historians consider the ancient Roman feast Lupercalia. Now, that's the name. Let me hear y'all say it, Lupercalia.
Lupercalia.
Okay, so basically, that's one of the first recognized right practices where you can observe through historical evidence that they're celebrating this particular thing that's called Valentine's Day, man. All right. Now on Lupercalia, okay, which is held February 13th through the 15th, the holiday's earliest iteration, right, is a festival where Roman priests sacrificed a goat. They killed a goat and they killed a dog using strips of the animal's hides dipped in blood to whip women in the belief that it would make them more fertile. Now, that right? Who knew that? They were taking dead dog skin with hide and goat skin with hide and blood, dip it in blood, and make a whip out of it, and beat the hell out of a woman, man. You're gonna have babies tenfold this year, 10 lashes, man. Right? So it's just going into the wicked, and I just want to touch on it, right? If you scroll down, it says the ritual also included a matchmaking session with bachelors selecting the names of their sweethearts from an urn. Now, what's an urn?
Like a pot.
Pot.
Like, yeah.
And normally they use urns to put what in?
Incense.
Ashley.
Ashes.
Ashes.
The ashes of who?
Dead.
Dead people. And these are dead works. To continue in these rituals, if you scroll down, look at this freakism picture. You're going to see Julius Caesar during a celebration of Lupercalia, man. Right? He looks like he's picking out of that nasty thing, right, to pick a name. Look at this. No, you can't see it. Check it out. See that? Just wicked, man. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. Let's jump right into this, right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 44. Okay. Let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 44, and let's start in verse 9. So we're gonna talk about these rituals. That what we just read was a ritual. And these things are learned through following heathen nations, right? We didn't do this in ancient Jerusalem. We didn't do this in antiquity. We weren't doing these Greekism, freakism. So this is today is an educational, right, and biblical track record of these ancient rituals, and why the Most High has us in a place where we're doing these ancient rituals, and what should we be doing instead of ancient rituals, man. Okay. Let's read this. Isaiah 44, starting verse 9.
Book of Isaiah chapter 44 and verse 9. They that make a graven image are all of them vanity, and their delectable things shall not profit, and they are their own witnesses. They see not nor know that they may be ashamed.
And that's the problem. These things are going to witness against you when you commit yourself to practicing these ordinances year after year. You stand and have to answer for, hey, do you want to stand before the Most High, stand before Yahweh Shai, and have to answer for year after year of celebrating Lupercalia, and you never did one Passover? He's gonna be like, "What's up with these red flowers you was doing? Where did this come from?" You're gonna have to ask for forgiveness of these sins, But a lot of people aren't even asking for forgiveness of these things. They eat it up. What does it? What does it say?
Who have formed a god or molten a graven image that is profitable for nothing.
That is what?
That is profitable for nothing.
And it is profitable for nothing to celebrate Valentine's Day. If we go back to that link real quick, right? Let's go back to that freaky, creepy link, right? It's gonna show you right up under the image. It says, "Will the real Saint Valentine please stand up?" Now, the reason it's called Valentine's Day is because there was a guy named Valentine who was beheaded, right? Let's read that. It says, there have been at least 3 different martyred Saint Valentines recognized by the Catholic Church, right? However, popular legend holds that the Roman Emperor Claudius II executed one Saint Valentine of Terni on February 14th, around 278 AD. In his crime, Valentine continued to perform marriage ceremonies in secret after Claudius II outlawed unions to encourage men to join the army. Right? Supposedly, right, Valentine signed a farewell note before he was beheaded from your Valentine. So you all are even calling this thing is the celebration of a so-called, heathen. Using the heathen name. We was talking about that last night. We have the heathen's last name. Did you all get a Valentine card at school this week? Did y'all get Valentine candy? Elijah? Who gave it to you? Who did? Who gave it to you in your class? Huh? Was it your teacher? Who gave you Valentine stuff in class, man? It was the other children? Or was it a girl? You see that? Are you telling the truth? Y'all had a Valentine's party. Now, everybody at that school know my children are not to do this type of thing, right? Why was he at school during a Valentine's Day party? That's the problem with this world, huh? See that? See that? See that? Right? So we have that's a valid point, right? Where the Most High, how can we expect our children to learn of the Most High when they have to learn from the heathens? How can you expect your wives, your husbands to lead you in righteousness when they follow after the practices of the heathen?
All right.
There is no. That's why I hate this place, man. Right? You gotta know every holiday, the schools are gonna celebrate it, and the churches too. Good old pastor is gonna have his red suit with his little red tie, right, with the rose hanging out of the little pocket. You know what I'm saying? Making a lesson talking about I want Jesus to be my Valentine. It's gonna be the pastor lesson. Jesus is my Valentine. We gotta we gotta unplug, man. Right? Let's go back to the book of Isaiah, chapter 44, right? And let's keep reading, Bible Shop. Verse 12.
Verse 12, the smiths with the tongues both work in the coals and fashion of it with hammers, and work of it with the strength of his arms. Yeah, he is hungry, and his strength faileth. He drinketh no water and is faint.
And that's what's going on. You got all these people making these particular things. You got all these people creating these different gods and idolatrous things, man. And these men are faint-hearted. They're nothing. Hey, what they created is nothing. Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 14, man. Right? Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 14. Let's start at verse 8. Let me know what you got. The book of Acts, chapter 14, and let's start at verse number 8. Bring this out.
Book of Acts, chapter 14, verse 8. And there sat a certain man at Lystra, impotent in his feet, being a cripple from his mother's womb, who never had walked.
So you got this impotent man, and he's crippled. He's handicapped. Read.
The same heard Paul speak, who steadfastly beholding him, and perceiving that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, stand upright on our feet.
What did Paul say?
Stand upright on our feet.
And then what happened?
And he leaped and walked.
And this guy was no longer impotent. The crippleness was immediately lifted. Read.
And when the people saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying in the speech of Lycaonia, the gods are come down to us in the likeness of men. And they called Barnabas Jupiter, and Paul Mercury, because he was the chief speaker.
So y'all know what just happened right there in verse 12?
They just gave credit to another god,
They
the
gave
Roman gods.
credit. Come, mighty answer. They gave credit to the Most High's power, the hand, right, that the Most High gave to these brothers, man, for favor to do miracles, right, through the power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. They called out Jupiter and they called out Mercury's, right? If I'm saying that right, in Jupiter, they called Barnabas Zeus. That's who. Let me pull. Hey, read that again and pull up Zeus, Baba Kashab.
I got it up.
They called, right? Read that verse again.
Verse 13. Verse 12.
Right.
And they called Barnabas Jupiter.
So step right there. They called Barnabas Zeus. And then read it again. And keep reading around. What do they call Paul?
And Paul Mercury.
And that's Hermes. That's the Greek god Hermes. They call Paul Zeus, or they call Barnabas Zeus, and they call Paul Hermes. Now let's look up Zeus real quick. Let's go into that.
So I pulled up Jupiter. Let's see, Zeus.
You got it pulled up.
Yeah, I got Jupiter pulled up, the Roman god Jupiter. It says Jupiter or Jove is supreme deity of Roman mythology, acting as king of the gods, godfather, and the god of thunder and lightning, which is basically Zeus.
Right.
So
Jupiter is Zeus. These are the same freakisms that go into Valentine's. Because when we go back to that link with Valentine's, right? If we could pull that back up, if we go back up to that link with Valentine's Day, all right, I want to scroll down and we're going to see that after Valentine was beheaded, to accommodate with the Greek mythology, they attributed Lupercalia, right, to Aphrodite, another Greek god. Another Greek god. Let me see if I can find that on here, right? And I might have scrolled past it. Go down to where it says love in full bloom. Love in full bloom. Let me know when you got that pulled up.
yeah.
It says the tradition of giving flowers to loved ones on Valentine's Day originated in the 17th century when King Charles II of Sweden popularized the language of flowers or attaching conversationalist meanings to different types of flowers throughout Europe, man. Caucasian land, right? As we know it today, rather. Okay, the most traditional type of Valentine's Day became the rose because of its association with the Greek goddess of love, Aphrodite. So the very concept of the chief flower given is because you're giving a ritualistic homage, nod to a Greek god. Man. This is why people get demonic on Valentine's Day, because they didn't fulfill the ritual of the Greek god to the purpose of what Aphrodite put on your heart. It should have been like this. We should have went here. Hey, he only got me that. You have this spiritual wickedness that's created by Greekism, freakism. Now look up Hermes. Let's see who Hermes, because they call Paul Hermes, right? And the scripture said Mercurius, but that's actually the Greek god Hermes. What does it say about him? The Roman god Hermes.
It says Hermes is a swift messenger of the Olympian gods, son of Zeus and Maya, and a prominent deity in Greek mythology, often associated with Roman god Mercury.
See that? So they called Paul that because he was the chief speaker. Hey, that man talking good. He must be the messenger of Zeus. These gods have come down like men, right? Let's keep reading about the chart.
Verse 13. Then the priests of Jupiter, which was before their city, brought oxen and garlands unto the gates, and would have done sacrifice with the people.
And then because of that, they started to go into their ancient ritual. They're about to do the sacrifices of what they do for Jupiter and what they do for Hermes, man. Read.
Which when the apostles Barnabas and Paul heard of, they rent their clothes and ran in among the people, crying out and saying, Sir, why do ye these things?
Why? What the hell are y'all doing? It's basically what happened. Read.
We also are men of like passions with you, and preach unto you that ye should turn from these vanities.
Yeah, you should what?
That
You should turn from these vanities.
Valentine's Day.
That you should turn from these vanities.
Read.
Unto the living God,
Until they let your house. Read.
which made heaven and earth and the sea and all things that are therein.
Read.
Who in time past suffered all nations to walk in their own ways.
And that's what you're seeing right now. You're seeing all these nations walking their own ways. And now you see God's chosen people walking in those ways as well. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32. Right. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32. And let's start at verse number 15. Let me know when you got it. Bring it up.
Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 15. But Jeshurun waxed fat.
Slow it down. And Jeshurun waxed fat. Now we went over this once before. You may not remember. What does Jeshurun go into? Who is Jeshurun? You remember? You think about Jethro. Jeshurun is Israel. That's another way for saying the righteous. Right? It's another way. It's another way for saying the righteous or Israel. Right? Israel waxed fat, serving the Most High. Right, Elijah? Right? Got to make sure the children still in this thing. Okay? Because you're the one who had the Valentine's Day party. You got to be front and center. Right? You got to be repenting of those sins, man. I'm just poking at my son. He's 7 years old, for those who don't know. Right? Mighty Elijah. Right? Mighty man. And they want to take our children. And they want to wax them fat with ordinances and feast days of heathens to where they forget the Lord. What does it say? Read that again.
But Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked. Thou art waxing fat. Thou art grown thick. Thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook God which made him.
What happens when you forget the Most High?
Then he forsook God which made him.
When you get caught up in these other Valentine's days and Christmases, and you waxing fat with candies and hugs and parties and pizza, that's how Esau get them children. The Epstein files, and they had pizza parties. Oh, you love cheese pizza, don't you? The pepperoni. And they make the child feel secure. Get them for Hey, and hey, the rest you don't want to think about. Read.
They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods, with abominations provoke they him to anger. They sacrifice unto devils, not to God, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods
To new gods.
that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not.
And that's a problem. That's a problem when you think about it in the context of what the Most High is putting down, right? Because these new gods are why we're still jammed up in 2026. We're still jammed up in America because you're still cleaving to these new gods, man. And you don't even know why you're saying my Valentine's Day. You're saying my Esau Day, right? My Greek God's Day. And what did we just read? And you're inadvertently, the very practice of doing that, you're making God jealous. Now, what happens when that happens? Keep reading.
Of the rock that begot thee, thou art unmindful,
Wow.
and forgotten God that formed thee. And when the Lord saw it, he abhorred them, because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them.
What happens?
I will hide my face from them.
Read.
I will see what their end shall be, for they are a very forward generation, children in whom is no faith.
Wow. Read.
They have moved me to jealousy.
What happens when you celebrate Valentine's?
They have moved me to
To
jealousy
jealousy.
with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people.
Say it again.
With those which are not a people, I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation.
The Most High says, all right, now deal with ICE then. Deal with Trump. Deal with the Willie Lynches. All right. Smitten with madness. Now you got Stockholm syndrome. Deal with that. Because you like to celebrate other gods. You like to be wicked on your downtime and on your locked in time. You just don't want to give it up. So I'll give you up. I'm going to hide my face from you. That's what the Most High says, right? Look up paganism real quick. Paganism or idolatry, either one. Paganism, idolatry. Look that up. Right? Let's talk about it. And then tell me what you see when you look up paganism.
It says paganism is a broad, diverse umbrella, a term for nature-based, polytheistic, or pantheistic spiritual paths that often revive or are inspired by pre-Christian indigenous traditions.
So that was a word salad.
Yeah.
Let me make it easy. Paganism is a term first used in the 4th century by early Christians for people in the Roman Empire who practiced polytheism, basically other religions outside of their religion that's outside of God's laws.
Right.
So paganism goes into the practice and celebrations of things that God told you specifically not to do. Hopefully that wasn't such a word salad as, they try to confuse us with these descriptions,
Yeah,
right?
it was bad. They try to make it seem like it's not bad.
They try to make it seem like it's not bad. That was a description. That was what we call you trying to wiggle out of this, right? You're trying to wiggle out of what's going on, right? It's not a good thing what's going on right now. Where we walking down to hold camp and you got a beautiful Eve dressed in lingerie next to what everyone thought was a man, but when the man turned around, it was a stud. It was a woman dressed like a man, trying to help her off of a half a foot curve, and she acting so like that hurt her foot just a step down, half a foot.
She was a gentleman.
Right. The Eve was a gentleman to the other Eve, a gentlewoman, right? It's madness, man. They were on that little Valentine's Day strip, man. And we saw a lot of it last night. So so through the spirit, we're just talking about it, not superseding the fact that these are ancient rituals, but also understanding the trouble that we are in because of practicing these rituals. That's really the main point. Spirit check. The practice of these things, right, are damning, right? Let's go to let's stay in Deuteronomy 32. Bounce down to verse 45, Bible shot. Bounce down to verse 45.
Verse 45. And Moses made an end of speaking all these words to all Israel.
Right.
And he said unto them, set your hearts unto all the words which I testify among you this day.
Wait a minute. Set your hearts to Valentine's.
Set your hearts unto all the words which I testify among you this day, which ye shall command your children to observe to do all the words of this law. And for it is not a vain thing for you, because it's your life.
Wait a minute. So you need to take concern of where you put your heart at and what you teaching your children. It shouldn't be a vain thing for you because your life is on the line. To let go of this world, you need to learn to do that because your life is on the line. All right, Elijah, you understand that? Tap your shoulder. You understand that? Your life on the line? Stand up for me. So the scripture says, don't practice Valentine's Day. What the scripture say? Don't do what? All praise to the Most High. Sit back down. Right. I need y'all to listen. It's hey, didn't the law just say teach your children? Right? It said your life on the line. If y'all don't get it, then I fail, man. That's how I would look at it. Read it again.
For it is not a vain thing for you, because it is your life.
Because it is your what?
Because it is your life. And through these things ye shall prolong your days in the land. Whether ye go,
Now go ahead.
whether ye go over Jordan to possess it.
And so through these things, right, you're gonna prolong your life. You're gonna prolong your days, right? This is a beautiful understanding. And so if you don't learn to stop messing up and hey, you gotta stay awake. Right? Pop up one more time for me. See that? We're gonna stretch it out today. We're not gonna get too comfortable today, man. Y'all can't forget what your parents teach you. You can't forget the instructions of the elders, of your forefathers. You have to be mindful of what they're telling you. If they say, "Thus says the Lord, thou shalt not," you gotta. Hey, my dad said the Lord said not to do this, man. Mommy said, "Hey, not to do this, man." Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. All right. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Where we going, Alea? Where we going, Elijah? 1 Corinthians what? All praise to both sides. Take a seat. And give me verse 13. Bring this out.
Book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to men.
And there is a temptation to celebrate Valentine's Day. And that is common. You don't even look at it as a temptation. Because it's so dang on common. Read.
But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it.
This isn't for everybody right here. Because not everybody wants to escape temptation. This is for the person who doesn't want to fall to temptation. This scripture is for the person who says the prayer, hey, keep me from all evil and keep me, hey, let me not go into these temptations. Deliver me from these temptations. That's for that guy. That's for that woman, man, who actually don't want to follow. And a lot of people don't care about that. The brother was talking to somebody a couple weeks ago. Like, I like singing. You know what sin is? Yeah. What is sin? Well, he didn't really know. We told him, oh, keeping God's law. Oh, yeah, I like breaking God's law. So what are you going to? I'm finna go do it right now. Hey, the Maccabees would have thrust him through that night. Would have sliced his slivering tongue out his mouth, man. That's the zealousness of serving the Most High and the wickedness of those who don't. Keep reading.
Come. Verse, let's say verse 15.
Right.
No, verse 14.
14. Yeah.
Wherefore, my dearly beloved, flee from idolatry.
Flee from what?
Flee from idolatry. I speak as to wise men. Judge ye what I say.
And you gotta judge what's happening right here. You gotta flee from idolatry. Bounce down to verse 18.
Verse 18. Behold, Israel, after the flesh, are not they which eat of the sacrifices partakers of the altar.
And that's what's going on right now. You all who are eating of this sacrifice, you calling out people online, and let me hit up this dude. Send a heart emoji. With the kiss, with the lipstick face. With the lips, with the lipstick on it by itself. Kiss, kiss, kiss. They got the damn chocolate that's called Kisses. They made that for Valentine's Day. You know that, right? That's what Hershey's. They bank on these particular Greek guy wicked freak-offs, man. Candy called Kisses. Go ahead, Doc.
I don't know if you've seen it or not, but on that website it was on, it said the company, I don't know which company said, but it said they make over $2 billion off of flowers alone on Valentine's Day.
I saw that. That's right. I didn't get down to that, but yeah, I did see that. So let's pull that back up and let's show that.
Okay, yeah, it's right under the same sentence you was reading.
Yeah, pull that back up. That link and see if you could find that and read that for me.
Yeah, it says, so right after the sentence, the last sentence read by Aphrodite, it say, since then, the custom has grown with the National Retail Federation, estimating that $2 billion are spent on Valentine's Day flowers each year.
2 billion just on flowers alone is spent right now. I've seen a video online, and I don't know if the brother can find it, but it was a car riding down the street with a giant flower on like a tractor, and then somebody was having these flowers delivered to somebody, some woman, and what they were trying to say, hey, go big or go home. And you either got this much love, hey, if my man ain't doing this, then I don't want it. Extra wide load package driving down the street with this giant, vase and flowers. It looked like a damn statue, man. It looked like a monument was riding down the street. And it was in the shape of a rose. So you have to, hey man, you gotta wake up, right? Did you have something?
Yeah, I was gonna say when I was in the hub at FedEx on Valentine's Day, we had to come in a little bit early, really that whole week because we was shipping like so many flowers. It would be like for hours when none come through but flowers on Valentine's Day. For Valentine's week, really.
I remember when I was around 17, 18 working at FedEx. And I remember that.
Yeah.
It was these brown long boxes, and there was some of these brown short boxes, and they had holes in them.
Yep.
And there was moisture coming out. You could smell the flower out the box. You could smell. It was like pollen almost.
The whole week, the area smelled like flowers.
It smelled like flower. I remember that. When you said that, my mental brought the sensory of the smell back to me. Like it had the whole line because FedEx, for y'all who don't know, they have a hub here in Memphis. Memphis is the transportation mecca of the whole United States, man. Right? And basically, every company utilizes this place as a heartbeat of transportation to reach other states and other hubs. So the main hub here in FedEx is like a city within the city. It's a plantation within Memphis. And that plantation is functioning 24/7. So if you ever work at a FedEx hub, they have these belts, these long conveyor belts. That's what they call them, the belts or something like that, right? And you have to take packages from these containers that are dropped off with guys driving buggies, and they 24/7 ride these buggies that are attached to another buggy and another like a train he's driving. And he drops these little things off, man, these little containers. Hey, you gotta empty that container out. Throw it on the line. Whoever's on the line, throw it on the belt. Make sure you send it to this distribution district and make sure it's going over here to Idaho. You gotta make sure you're looking at the labels and some people will do this. They just start throwing the boxes, just you know what I'm saying? It becomes like a race. And they've made a hierarchy of pay out of who can unload these containers the quickest. You get promoted for doing that. So the harder Jake works as a slave for these pagan gods and heathens, the more recognition and achievement your heathen gives you. And it's still crumbs. And it's still nothing. I hated FedEx, man. I'll say that right now. You had to sit on a bus to get to the job. You had to go to a parking lot. Then you had to wait for this bus to come, and the bus was set up like a slave boat. It was a U shape of seats. It wasn't regular seat behind seat. No, it was a U shape of seats with no armrests. And you sit yourself down in one of those seats, man, and you're like sardines in that thing, lined up all the way around the bus. And when you leave from work, you get back on that bus, and everyone's shirt is like they jumped in the pool. Everyone, woman and man, because you're coming off the line of the hood where you're working. I don't know if you've ever seen that or experienced that, but the hub is, hey, that's plantation 101 in Memphis, right? They got real slaves. So we're gonna go back, right, through the spirit to matter of fact, let's drop this, right? I think we matter of fact, let's go back, Bible Shaw. There's a little bit more on that. 1 Corinthians 10, right? There's a little bit more on that. I want us to go back to verse number 18, and let's pick this up. I think we can start at verse 19. Bring us out.
Verse 19. What say I then? That the idol is anything,
See that?
or that which is offered in sacrifice to idols is anything.
And that's another nod that this is nothing. They're practicing, it means nothing, and it's going to count against you, right? Read.
Verse 20. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils.
Sacrifice to who?
They sacrifice to devils, and not to God. But I will not that ye shall have fellowship with devils.
Right. So that's why, hey, we tell them, hey, when they at school doing them Valentine's Day parties, when they doing them doggone Christmas parties, the Lord said, don't be with the devils. I'd rather you not be called a devil with them, right? You can get candy any other day. Why you got to do it? Why you got to do it today? And partake in those rituals. Read.
Verse 21. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord
See that?
and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the table of devils.
Why? Read.
Do we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he?
That's what it's about. You keep provoking the Most High to jealousy because you like vanity. You don't want to trade vanity for life. The Lord said, hey, your life is on the line, man. Your life is on the line. Your life is on the line. You gotta say that 1,000 times for them to, they're gonna be dreaming about it when they close out the class. Yeah, your life is on the line, man. It's not a game. Right? Let's go to the book of Baruch. Let's go to the book of Baruch, chapter 1. And let's start at verse number 16. Baruch chapter 1, and let's start at verse 16. You got it?
Book of Baruch, chapter 1, verse 16. And to our kings, and to our princes, and to our priests, and to our prophets, and to our fathers.
That's all of us, right? That's everybody, right? All the chief of the men. This is a letter to you. Read.
For we have sinned before the Lord.
What have we done?
For we have sinned before the Lord, and we disobeyed him, and have not hearkened unto the voice of the Lord our God. to walk in the commandments that he gave us openly. Since the day that the Lord brought our forefathers out of the land of Egypt unto this present day, we have been disobedient unto the Lord our God. And we have been negligent in not hearing his voice.
You don't want to be on this list. Like, we have to humble ourselves down and admit this though.
Yeah.
This is a humbling, right, to the priests, to the fathers, man, to the prophets, right, to the princes, to the kings, all of you. Israel, right? Read.
Wherefore the evils cleave unto us, and the curse which the Lord appointed by Moses his servant at the time that he brought our fathers out of the land of Egypt, to give us a land that flows with milk and honey, like as it is to see this day. Nevertheless, we have not hearkened unto the voice of the Lord our God, according unto all the words of the prophets,
Right.
whom he sent unto us.
Uh-huh.
For every man followed the imagination of his own with the heart, to serve strange gods,
To do what?
to serve strange gods, and to do evil in the sight of the Lord our God.
So it said, because of that, the curses cleave unto us. That's what it just said. Because it was an agreement, it was a contingency of being God's chosen people forever. You don't get to change that in 2026 because you're like the Jake we saw last night. And well, you know who you are in this land, brother? I'm an American. Hey, brother, what was you before that? And that don't matter. Yeah, dude. That's what the brother said. Yeah, dude. What he say? No, it don't. I'm an American. I wear it proud. None of that matters no more.
He said we all bleed red.
We all bleed red. Gumbo shrimp. They talk like butter. We all bleed red. This is the problem. You got the curses cleaving to you. And so now everything the heathen tells you to do, you're gonna do. It don't matter what it is. Let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter 6. No matter what it is, or no matter the cost, right? No matter that your children are going through, you don't care about no calamities. Hey, I'm just gonna stay the course. That's a curse cleaving unto you. 2 Maccabees chapter 6, starting at the top. Bring this up.
Look at 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 1. Not long after this, is the king sent the old man of Athens, Athens, to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers.
So not after this, the king sent a freak Greek from Athens to tell us to stop following the laws of the Most High and do what?
And not to live after the laws of God, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympus.
Do what?
And to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympus.
So they wanted us to stop serving the Most High and call our temple the temple of Zeus of Olympus. You clocking this? So whenever a Christian comes up and say, well, the Gentiles, they get it too. This is what the Gentiles are doing. They weren't serving the Most High. They weren't saving you from affliction when you got killed because you was keeping God's laws and being a follower of Christ. They were the ones killing you. In the name of Zeus, right? Did you have something out?
Yeah, this directly correlates to Acts 14 when they were saying, "Hey, we should give they must be sent from Jupiter
Yeah.
and Mercury."
Yeah.
So to a point, they kind of succeeded in what they wanted to do was to get us away from the Most High and start serving their gods, because you see that's what we were doing in Acts.
Right.
But a lot of people don't read the book of Maccabees to understand like that's who the Gentiles is. You know what I'm saying, in the New Testament.
Exactly. Because it really cancels out, well, they did the argument that, well, the Romans were all Israelites. They were all black men. No. You had a lot of Israelites who turned over to these customs.
Second Maccabees.
Right. Even when you can find us in these places in the dark ages, that still doesn't you still can't erase the history of the fact of these nations having their Caesars, their powers, and they were not quote unquote Israelites. These were Edomites.
Check 'em out.
Yeah, okay.
And there's a lot of people who would like to rewrite history because they don't understand the calamities that the Most High said He will cause upon us. You can't have it Israelites putting Israelites in captivity in every captivity because you want everybody to be black on earth. They were all black. We're all the same people. Y'all did it to yourselves. That goes against every prophecy and every lick of history in our captivities with these other nations. Don't confuse melanin with Israelite, first off. And not everyone who we were in captivity to looked like us. It's not factual. Let's keep reading.
God. And to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympus. And then in Garism, of Jupiter, the defender of strangers.
The defender of strangers. Right? Now that sounds like a supercoon. That sounds like Christianity. Because they are the defender of Gentiles. And it goes against, right, the Most High instructing us to separate from them. Right? So by proximity, we can say a lot of these people preaching Christianity are defenders of strangers. They are in the practice of Zeusology, Greekology, mythology, right? How we want to put it? They got the spirit of Zeus on them, right? The spirit of Jupiter. Read.
As they did desire that dwelt in the place. The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people. For the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles who dallied,
Yeah, that's right.
who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places.
They were celebrating freakies on Valentine's Day at the temple. They was doing that. They had Aphrodite posted up at the door because she is the only goddess of love.
Lucario.
So you got to understand the craziness of today, right? On the left-hand side, because today is a beautiful day. It's a Sabbath. But the craziness of what's going on today, our people are celebrating Greekism. Greekism. And is hidden under idolatrous ancient rituals. Read.
Come. And besides that brought in things that were not lawful. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbidden.
Wow.
Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
So you couldn't keep the ancient feast days. You had to keep their ancient rituals. See that? That's the flip. That's how they get you. Now, in 2026, it's you have no correlation between what's right or what's wrong because you've become fat in your kingdom. And your woman is used to being fat on this day. Don't get it twisted, Eve. Well, he called me my figure because Eve always in vanity. You can't say nothing about nothing with Eve. He called us fat, girl. Now, understanding this is about what you devour, what about the doctrines you take in, and about making God jealous because you don't care about him, right? All right, so let's finish this out real quick. Bounce. What verse were you at?
Verse 4.
Verse 6.
Oh, you was on down. Yeah. Give me.
No, 6.
Let's keep reading in verse 7. Bring us up.
Verse 7. And the day of the king's birth every month, they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifice.
And I'm gonna do this. Now we got birthdays.
Right.
On top of Valentine's Day. Now, this came. I don't know if y'all caught that. Read that one more time, verse 7.
In the day of the king's birth,
Say it again.
in the day of the king's birth,
every
every month, they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifice.
Y'all celebrate y'all birthday every year. The day that he was born, he celebrated it every month. And he had everybody feasting every month on his day. Oh, yeah, did you catch that? So they didn't get a break, right, Lamb? They didn't get a break. Do we celebrate birthdays? Raise your hand. You celebrate birthdays? Did you just raise your hand? Oh, okay. You don't blink too fast. Who celebrate Valentine's Day? Raise your hand. All right, come. All praise the Most High. Spirit check, right? Don't have time y'all come jumping. X hit you with the hot slayer, man. Right? Keep reading.
Time. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus, carrying idols. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of how you say Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashion and be partakers of their sacrifices.
Read.
And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death.
Should be what?
Should be put
to
to death.
death.
Then might a man have seen the present mystery.
Man, that's wild, right? That's wild. Now you know what misery is.
Right.
A lot of people think they're miserable. What about those who have to endure to the end, and y'all know who y'all are, and they're gonna compel you to break God's laws in Jacob's trouble, and you gotta keep your wits about you unto death. You gotta keep your spirit intact unto death. What about those people, man? Celebrating birthdays was off too. Get that in Genesis chapter 40. I think the brother brought it out last night. Let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 40, and let's get this as a wicked ancient ritual as well. Genesis chapter 40 and verse 20. This is an ancient ritual celebrating birthdays. All right. Like I said, we just won't harp on one. We'll hit a couple, and our job is done. Genesis 40, and let me know when you got it, King. Verse 20.
Genesis chapter 40, verse 20. And it came to pass the third day, which was Pharaoh's birthday.
Which was what?
Which was Pharaoh's
birthday.
Then he made a feast unto all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants.
Read.
And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them.
So Joseph gave an interpretation of the butler and the baker, right? A dream that was given about what does this mean from each one. One of the others, they were made known to know that like that from the Bible shop. They were made known to know that one of them would get out of jail, and the other would not get out of jail. He would be beheaded, right? Here you go. Go ahead and do that from the Bible shop. Okay, so this is listen to. This is another correlation where you can see on a birthday, these people like murder. They like killing, they like sacrificing, they like going against the Most High's commandments. And these were the ancient rituals of celebrating their day. To go directly against God's people, they like killing God's people on their birthdays. That was one of the first recorded, right, accounts of a birthday. To kill somebody, to murder someone, to behead someone, to have an Israelite locked up. This is the problem with these ancient rituals. Let's get one more precept on that. Let's go to Matthew chapter 14. Okay. Let's go to Matthew chapter 14. And let's start at verse 6. Matthew chapter 14 See if I can get there. Let me know when you get there, Kyle. Y'all. Go out there. Matthew chapter 14 and verse 6. You know. So let's look at this account as well, right? We can go to the New Testament and we can see the wickedness going on here.
Book of Matthew chapter 14, verse 6. When Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before him and pleased Herod, whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she being mother, and she being before instructed of her mother, said, "Give me here John Baptist's head in the charger."
I want John the Baptist's head on a platter. Read.
And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her. And he sent and beheaded John in the prison.
And the apostle was sealed with the elect Lord with him, man, at that point. See, they were sealed. Hey, you got the apostles sealed up, man. They all died to death. They all died in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And this happened on a wicked heathen's birthday. Another ritual that was requiring the sacrifice of what? A life. And a lot of times it was our lives, as you could read, okay? A lot of times it was our lives, right? Where'd you stop off on that, man?
10.
Okay, come. So, read the next verse.
And his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother. And his disciples came and took up the body and buried him, and went and told Yahweh.
Right. So they buried him. When they took Yahweh, told Yahweh, right, what happened. I imagine there was, grieving and things of that nature. But this is, the plight of our people. Let's go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 6. Let's go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 6. Let's start at verse 12. All right. I know you got it. Bring it up.
Second Maccabees chapter 6, verse 12. Now I beseech those that read this book that they be not discouraged for these calamities.
And that's what we want to say right now. When I'm serving the Lord, I'm gonna get my head cut off. Hey, you can't be discouraged from these calamities. You got to pick a side. You read this book, don't be discouraged because of these accounts. Why? Read this.
But that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for chastising of our nature.
Right?
For it is a token of his great goodness.
Say it again.
For it is a token of his great goodness.
What happens when you're chastening?
For it is a token of his great goodness. When wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but for with punished.
That's the portion, man. If you're wicked, you get that portion of punishment. So stop being wicked. Don't take judgment of the righteous for something that's for our destruction. These accounts are based off of the Most High's good tokens towards his people. Because ultimately we will ride on the high places. Keep reading.
For not as what other nations whom the Lord patiently forbear to punish.
See that?
Till they become to the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us.
So until they come to the fullness of their sins, so he's going to continue dealing with us. Because their punishment is on the way. That's what Aaron the German didn't understand last night. Their punishment is in due time. We going through what we going through. Y'all are not going to skip a beat with the Most High. You're going to go through even more. Right? Keep reading.
Lest that, being come to the height of sin, afterwards he should take vengeance of us.
Right.
And therefore he never withdraw his mercy from us. And though he punished with adversary, with adversity, yet doeth he never forsake his people.
Though he punished with adversity, Hey, Yasharala is never forsaken. Israelites are never forsaken, right? And that's a beautiful understanding. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 30. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, starting at verse number 20. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, starting at verse number 20. Although we're punished with these afflictions and adversity, you have to continue to endure. You got to continue to let go of those ancient rituals now that you know better. And you got to take on what the Most High gives you with the smile, man. Read this.
Book of Isaiah chapter 30, verse 20. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity, and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore, but thy eyes shall see thy teachers, and thy ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, This is the way.
Say it again.
This is the way.
Follow the commandments.
This is the way. Walk ye in it. When ye turn to the right hand, and when ye turn to the left, ye shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver, and the ornaments of thy molten images of gold. Thou shalt cast them away.
What should you do with Valentine's Day?
Thou shalt cast them away
Read it.
as a
Mistress.
cloth. Thou shalt say unto this, Get thee hence.
You supposed to cast these wicked things away just like you would the cloth from a menstruous cycle. The what they would call a pad now, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? The thing that's filled with, that blood, man. You cast that away, don't you? The Most High said, cast these idols and these ritual, right, ancient celebrations of wickedness, cast them to the side. That's the instruction. That's what we see here. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 30 from the top, starting verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me.
And that's the problem. So we don't want to continue, right, taking counsel of anything outside of thus says the Lord. Read.
And that cover with a cover, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin.
And that's what we were saying. Doing it from year to year, and just, you 40 and you still celebrating these things, you're still adding that sin to sin. Keep reading.
That walk to go down into Egypt, have not asked in my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt.
Right.
Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame.
Say it again.
Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion.
And that's what the Most High has already set up. That's what Yahweh has already set up. You trusted in this nation. You trusted in those feast days. That's going to be your shame. A lot of people are hurt right now because the Most High made this day their shame because they trusted in this day. So he took the trust from their partner, and this day isn't even worth celebrating to them because they're in hurt right now. Something's going on that they didn't plan. Something wasn't given that they were expecting. And so your trust in these things, the Most High says eventually is going to be to your shame. And that's on a small level. Your feelings being hurt. How much more calamity, damage, or death even, man? Right? Because you trust in Egypt. You trust in America. You trust in these practices, man. Right? Let's go to the book of Exodus chapter 5, man. Get the classic. Let's go to the book of Exodus chapter 5 and start from the top.
Okay, Exodus chapter 5, verse 1. And afterward, Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Let my people go.
Say it again.
Let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness.
That they may do the feast unto Pharaoh.
That they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness.
And see, you got to understand, that's why they kept those laws on us of the heathens, because that was sin unto us. The Lord, they knew the Lord wouldn't fight for us. Right? They knew that, all right, they keep going on. The Most High, probably going to turn his face from them. They won't be as strong as we can defeat them. We can defeat the Israelites now, man. And what did the rulers say when they know that we're God's chosen people? Keep reading.
And Pharaoh said, Who is the Lord?
Say it again.
Who is the Lord, that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not the Lord, neither will I let Israel go.
And that's what they say, man. Who's this Yahweh? Give a damn that y'all trying to serve the Lord, man. Eat this pork. Give a damn that y'all trying to, man, fast. This is Valentine's Day. You got President's Day coming up Monday. A lot of children are out of school for King's Day. And you know the presidents ain't Israel. So they make you observe their heathens continually, man. Right? Let's get Exodus chapter 34. We'll close out. Exodus chapter 34. And let's go to verse number 12 for the understanding. Here's your instruction. Here's your understanding. And here's, right, where you should have your mindset versus, keeping these ancient rituals. Give me Exodus 34. Let's start at verse 12. Bring this up.
Look at Exodus chapter 34, verse 12. Take heed to thyself.
Say it again.
Take heed to thyself.
What should we do?
Take heed to thyself.
Right.
Lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land wherein thou goest. Lest it be for a snare in the midst of you.
And that's where it goes into, right? You being put to shame by enjoying Pharaoh, enjoying the pleasures of Egypt. Take heed of what's happening, unless you be caught up in a snare in the midst of them. Keep reading.
But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves. For thou shalt worship no other God.
Say it again.
For thou shalt worship no other God. For the Lord, whose name is jealous, and whose name is jealous, is a jealous God.
And I wanted to harp on that, right? We've covered several verses where it says, doing these things, you're gonna make Yahweh jealous. Right? Keep reading.
Lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go whoring after their gods, and do sacrifice unto their gods, and one calls you, and thou eat of his sacrifice.
And that's the problem. It was already given as an instruction to not observe these specific things. That's why we try to stay occupied in the oracles of God. Right? Read.
And thou take up their daughters unto thy sons, and their daughters go whoring after their gods, and make thy sons go whoring after their gods. Thou shalt make thee no molten gods.
And that's the portion of reflection of spirit check Sabbath, man. Right? Understand that, hey, they want your sons, they want your daughters, they want you. And if they take your mind, they have your family. If they have your family, they have the generations after their family. So right now, everyone is breaking the curses, right? By continuing in the instructions of the Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Anyone have any closing precepts before we wrap up? Come. But with that, Lord willing, you was edified. Lord willing, you remove yourselves from these ancient rituals, right? And you keep God's commandments as it instructed, right? Through, right, Genesis all the way to Revelations, man. All right? No more ancient rituals. The only thing that you should be keeping, right, as a practice are the Most High's feast days. That's the only thing ancient you should be observing, man. And today you have an ancient observance right from the beginning of time, right? Let's get there real quick in Genesis. Genesis chapter 2. You have an ancient feast day set upon you right now, right? Give me verse number 3. Matter of fact, start at verse 2.
Book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 3.
Verse 2.
Verse 2. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day.
And he did what?
And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made.
And this is something that we have to continue to do, right? Throughout our generations. As it says, this is something that he created and made. This is something that he gave to us, man. So all praise to the Most High for his spirit going forth. With that, we're going to wrap up.